talk about learner management systems and developing online learning. It's not designed to tell you all the ins and outs of it or sell you really what we do, but it's a chance for you to come together, talk to each other as well, and engage in what you're doing, what's working, what's not working, and different elements like that. So feel free to jump in, get involved, and if you've got any questions as we go along, feel free to ask. It's not we don't want it to be we just sit here and talk to you or talk at you. So yeah, get involved essentially. Okay, so today's focus, we're first going to look at the pressures on training in the sports sector.
We're also going to look at how an LMS can help, but how an LMS alone isn't enough, and how the ancillaries of the LMS and the digital systems are equally important to the process.
Then how to the elements of building, engaging, scalable and inclusive e-learning content.
And finally, we'll have some real-world examples, like Colin mentioned just earlier, from the community golf instructor course that we helped create.
Okay, so let's start with, in the chat, what's your biggest challenge in delivering training, whether that's online, face to face, blended? What's the challenges you're facing at the moment? Feel free to put stuff in the chat or come and jump on talk on camera if you like.
Yeah, I think Richard has said student engagement, which we do see is a common theme, and engaging with the content.
So when you say student engagement, do you mean what specifically do you mean there? Is it people really being engaged and interacting with that content, or yeah, what do you mean essentially?
I think Richard has said interacting with and reading the material. So that's definitely something we'll cover on how e-learning can be more engaging. And Kate has also said there's challenges with creating bespoke content without an in-house e-learning creator. I think Alex has a similar point as well.
Okay, yeah, resource and time to create the content. Yeah, brilliant. Anyone else? And LNS being seen as a place to do compliance training and not wanting to explore the other materials that's there. Okay, so you've got resources, etc. there, but people just doing the kind of the minimum to tick a box essentially.
Yeah, I think those themes sort of take us nicely into the next section of this webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of you alluded to there in the chat, is that the landscape is constantly changing. I think the expectations are different from what we expect to sometimes what the learners expect as well. So just in terms of diverse audiences compared to the last 5 years or 10 years or even the last year or so, I think more audience types have been added to this. More we realize that a lot more different audience types need to be trained. So they could be staff, volunteers, coaches, officials. There could be stakeholders that we haven't thought about yet that might benefit from training in the future as well. So if we move on to the next one, that it's the expectations are rising as well. I think in the past, a lot of coaching and learning in sport was just in person. They attend, they fill out a portfolio, etc. But now, especially post-COVID, there's a larger need to be flexible with your digital content, the content being consistent across different platforms, being easy to use and being engaging. Essentially, we're sort of competing with social media there. And we have seen a big digital shift in e-learning and just the whole coach education or volunteer education. But we still recognize there is immense value in combining e-learning modules with virtual classrooms and sort of blended training, which also has in-person days for the technical elements. So we recognize that there is still a huge value in all of these three coexisting together.
Yeah, I think just to add to that one as well, in 2020 when COVID happened, there was a big shift of moving everything online, and a lot of content got put straight online without necessarily making it digital. And there's an element of people want some of that, so they can do a lot of content in their own time, but also they're still uh, really like the face-to-face or virtual classroom type learning as well. Just doing it on their own in their own time doesn't suit all learners.
I think the challenge there, like some of you suggested in the chat as well, is organizations have an LMS or any software that enables them to use content like a community platform, but there's often lack of time or capacity to be able to create content which is in-house, bespoke, and specialist e-learning.
Uh, Sorry, that's
We did have a, a question for you on there.
just a minute. Let me.
I think we could just get it on chat, Colin, if we ask the question.
Yeah, I'm just getting to it. One second. So, if you in the chat, if you could, do you currently use an LMS or digital learning platform? If you could just put yes or no in the chat, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think most people here have said yes, that they do use an LMS at the moment. All of them actually.
And in general, how do you find them systems that you've got? And have you what challenges if apart from what we said before, what challenges have you got specifically with those systems that you've got? Sorry, this presentation all worked well earlier. Okay, clunky reporting and admin interface. Okay. Okay, that leads us on to the next slide anyway. So what we know is that every different types of sports organisation have different learning needs. So we know that a one size fits all isn't right for everyone. A lot of LMS learning management systems are built for big corporate organisations for internal training, and we've faced that quite a few times when looking at different systems that they're built for that purpose and then being readapted for different use cases. So we've just looked at some of the different elements that different types of organisations might need. So, for example, NGBs might need coach and official accreditation pathways. They might need e-commerce, integration with membership platforms. These are just a few, but there's obviously more. Whereas active partnerships might be looking for more volunteer training, training for their own internal workforce. They might want to offer free resources on there, and again, e-commerce. Whereas coaching providers might want to coach their own internal staff on coach education courses. Again, mandatory training, and then some recertification. And then other types of organisations might need a mixture of all those different things. So an effective LMS really reflects what your pathway is for your learners, and the purpose of that. So essentially what this is getting at is when looking at different LMS platforms, really understand what your needs are first before committing.
Yeah, I think this section will sort of cover a lot of the comments that you've just put in, including Alex's comment about users being visually impaired and having specific needs around the access to the portal and learning materials. So if we go into the first one, Colin, I think we look at user experience as the most important part of using an LMS or looking at a software. So yes, simple registration and enrollment is a big sort of challenge that a lot of LMSs face, which could include one-click registration or integration with current SSOs that you already have with your Microsoft account. But also adding into that the user experience bit about the LMS having the capability to be accessible with screen readers, the content having something called a tab order where they can go press tabs where screen readers then read out the content. So I think in general, just looking at the LMS with which is which is sort of combines a good user experience along with the registration process would be ideal. The ability to track qualification, CPD, and compliance. I know compliance is not an ideal word or looking at the comments because it's already seen as a compliance heavy portal, but having the ability to segregate those qualifications into CPD, compliance, and just coaching qualifications or refereeing, officiating qualifications in that sense would be part of a good LMS experience. Like we said before, the ability on the LMS to have online learning plus face-to-face and virtual classrooms all with the same platform where the learners can see all information within one course or one cohort. This could include a link to their online learning where they can launch directly, or this could also include the location of their in-person day with a Google Maps access, for example. And the next bit is around reporting. I think Anna said about clunky reporting, which we do recognize, and a good LMS will help you report in as granular ways as you'd like, whether this could be based on an audience type, whether this could be based on a particular class or a course or a cohort, or even a particular type of custom field that you'd like to report on, and looking at these reports to understand learning trends and engagement with the different users. If you could put on the chat box what the most valuable feature for your learners, it could be one of the four that we covered, or it could be anything else. Essentially, just a takeaway for us as to which which one would you like to focus on and which one you think is more valuable for your learners. Yeah, Richard, I think different types of e-learning material, including video, word, audio, etc. I think that's exactly what we wish to cover in the next bit. I think Judy has alluded to something similar as well, which leads into our e-learning content creation bits.
Variety of content within the same portal rather than jumping between or in and out of systems. Yeah, that's definitely a key element. We used to face that a lot on our previous platform where we'd have the content in one system, then the portfolios in a different system, and it just learners have to have different multiple logins to access different elements of their course essentially. So that's a key element. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can move on to the next bit. Links very well to everything we've just spoken about.
So yeah, definitely connecting systems, people, and content. So one of the key things is ensuring that the technology, the content, and the people all join together to make a good platform essentially. So some of the elements to think about there are integration with membership or qualification databases. So you might use a membership system that's got all your users in, all your members in, and you want that system to connect to your LMS through the use of APIs. You can quite often do that if the systems can talk to each other. AB's the expert on APIs, so I'll leave that bit to him. But we'll cover that. Do you want to go into detail there? AB, sorry, I've checked you on the list there.
Yeah, sure. I think the most common, essentially, a lot of you may know it, but for those who don't, APIs is essentially just a software or a piece of code that connects two different softwares together. So like Colin said, we use APIs commonly to integrate with your membership platform where somebody can just use single sign-on to sign on to our LMS with their existing membership platform credentials. We're also looked at use cases where once they complete their e-learning on the platform, the certificates are automatically transported into the membership platform in a sense, so that to reduce the duplication of work. There are a lot more elements where we use API for reporting. We could create custom reports for you, or we could give you some functionalities of the LMS with API, so you wouldn't have to go into the LMS at all times. It would be through a Google Sheet or pressing a button. Essentially, the possibilities are endless, but it's just trying to connect two different systems to work well with each other.
Coaches and volunteers are often on the move. they might want to sit down at their computer and do some elements of the e-learning, but they might want to also access different resources while they're on the move. So mobile access to the LMS is really helpful, and allows them to access that content wherever they are. We're also aware that the ability to host different multimedia and blended courses is also important, like we've previously said. So using videos, different types of learning content within the courses to really make it engaging and interactive for users. And then ongoing support. I think that's an element where a lot of organisations struggle with, especially if you're small organisations. You might not have a dedicated team to support learners when they've got an issue on a Monday evening, and they're not able to access a certain part of their course. Someone to contact and get that support from. That's something that also needs to be thought about. So there's a few practical steps here of if you're looking at LMS, learner management systems, make sure that internal teams are upskilled, they know how to use the system, so it's not all reliant on one person who's got that understanding. The more people who can help learners and support and create content as possible, the better engagement and use you're going to get out of the system. Partner with content specialists, so your teams might have the knowledge of understanding your sport or your context, how to create the content, but and what's in the content, but actually making that into an interactive and engaging course is a different skill set. So look to potential external people or getting those people in to do that, to provide you that support, and plan regular refreshes of your content. So something that's created now is probably going to be out of date in 12 months time. Make sure that's planned in when you create it, that actually it's refreshed and looked at in 12 months time to check it's all up to date and still correct. So as I said, the little visual here is the technology on its own's great, but without the content and the people to really make it to really enhance it, you haven't got anything. So those three are all together create a sustainable learning, in sport, essentially.
So I guess we'll tailor this slightly to all of you in the virtual room because you already have an LMS. So I guess there will be a point coming up where you will either look at the feasibility of your LMS to your current needs, or you might look at a parallel LMS to go, is my LMS fit for purpose, or do we need to look at another one? So we would definitely recommend, and this is from our own experience of moving LMSs, a couple in the past few years, and definitely one in the last year where we did a massive scoping exercise into getting our own LMS and setting it up from scratch. So we would say define your goals, work backwards, what essentially about what you would require from the LMS in terms of actual features, functionalities, what the audience type are. And a lot of times this particular step will define the success of the user experience or of the digital learning strategy even before you actually start. So we would definitely recommend working backwards to understand how to go about choosing the right LMS. The next bit is around knowing your learners. Like we said, the kind of learners and the type of learners keep changing. So think about future proofing in terms of what different kinds of audience types could be added on to the LMS, or in some cases removed off the e-learning platform if that particular audience type becomes obsolete. So how would these particular learners interact with the coach, the courses, the learning materials, and the platform in general? For example, we know coaches travel a lot, and like Colin said, could we have an LMS that has a mobile app? And with the train signals being so great, can e-learning content be downloaded offline, like the YouTube has a functionality to download videos offline? Could that be a potential? Essentially, trying to understand or put yourself in the shoes of the learner to understand their context before making a decision on the LMS. So the next bit is, I think, the most tricky bit, which we experienced ourselves as well, is comparing different systems. We scoped multiple LMSs. We had probably hundreds of meetings with different providers, but we had pretty much covered steps 1 and 2 before we went into this. And the most important bit that often gets overlooked is understanding scalability. We all work towards growth and scale, and a lot of different platforms will promise you functions and sort of features that can be undertaken with your current learner size. But if we had to scale to another 1,000 learners in the next 1 year, does the system have that ability without changing the core or the skeleton of how it's built? What kind of support do you get from the LMS provider? I think that's a very key thing to either review currently or look at going forward, because sometimes a lot of these tech companies are based in the US and you will only get support in American times. But do they have around the clock support feature that you can tap into? We just spoke about APIs and integrations just a while ago, and we think the biggest factor while looking at an e-learning platform is the real cost. We find that LMS providers will offer a cost and a functionality or a feature while it comes to the sales pitch. But when we get into the actual implementation, we often find that a lot of these features are behind a paywall or there is always a catch. So understanding your requirements and actually finding out the real cost at the time of implementation before signing any contract, we think would be a very good thing to do just to safeguard yourselves. The next bit is about testing. We do this a lot, and we would definitely recommend testing with a small trusted group of learners. These could be internal staff, these could be anybody, before actually rolling out the system. In a sense, we would try and encourage those learners to break the system, so we can rebuild it or fix any issues that come either with the actual content or the LMS before going out to learners. Especially with since all of you already have an LMS, if there's ever a point in the future where you move LMSs or improve upon your current LMS and users are not used to the platform or the user experience, it's really easy to lose trust from learners if even a small thing goes wrong. So robust testing and sort of fixing those before rolling out would be an ideal thing to do. And the last bit, like everything else, is a constant feedback loop. Looking at user engagement, looking at time spent on a course or a module or time spent on the platform, and sort of how the bookings happen through courses, getting feedback from learners and constantly improving upon them would I think benefit in the long run for sure.
Okay, like previously alluded on, the content, a great platform again means nothing without great content. So this is a common reality that we've seen quite often. An organisation gets an LMS, but there's relatively few live modules. There's not a lot of content on there, so it's a bit it's not very interesting. Essentially, there's limited time or knowledge for of how to turn materials into engaging e-learning, and that means that courses are quite often just PowerPoints that have been semi-adapted from what was previously delivered face to face, and therefore doesn't have that interaction and engagement, or just PDFs chucked onto a platform. So So the result of that is coaches are disengaged or don't really complete the modules. Volunteers just skip training altogether if it's not a requirement, and the LMS investment is underused and not really utilised. So, like I said at the top, so a great platform means nothing without great content to really build onto it. In some of these questions have already been answered, but in the chat, I'll just put this is what we're supposed to work before. I'll just put a quick poll. What's your content challenge? So we've got three options of time, resources, and expertise there, but there's an option to put others in as well. So if you can engage in that, that'd be great.
While you do that, if anyone would like to come off mute and also tell us about your challenge with content, it would be great.
Is that poll working for people? Is anyone?
Maybe we can come back to that at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Richard. We'll have a look at that. I think it's just the poll is not playing ball with us today.
I'll try and get the results up.
So moving on, again, sort of leading on from the previous question about developing e-learning content. This is something that we do, but we would also encourage you to have a look at if you're creating content yourselves or getting an external content creator to help you with e-learning content is firstly, just keep it real, use real coaching scenarios and sports specific examples instead of using generic scenarios from non-sporting contexts or in nowadays context using AI generated hypothetical scenarios. We do see value in using real and sports specific examples of stuff that has happened in order to learn from that and help coaches learn from that as well. Like a lot of you have said, making the content active or come to life, helping the user feel like they're part of the learning and not just being spoken at. This could include video demonstrations, tasks where learners make their own decisions of what sort of path to take with the e-learning, what sort of type of content within the course they would like to engage with. This could also be drag and drops or multiple choice questions that gives them feedback on their choices once they're done with that answer. So essentially letting the user take ownership of the learning and making them feel engaged. And keeping it short and accessible. Again, micro learning for all different types of stakeholders on the go seems to be the need of the hour. A lot of different feedback that we receive is keep it short. And if we can gain as much knowledge or assimilate as much information within the tap of my thumb a few different times, I think that would be the best way for people to learn. And that's what we're seeing the trends going forward. Some tips that we follow and we would recommend as well is start content creation with one high impact course That could be something meaningful like a safeguarding refresher, a volunteer, or a staff induction, and building traction from that course. That could also be good to get feedback on your design language or your content creator's design language from that particular course. And the use of rapid authoring tools really help. So we use the whole Articulate suite, and there are a lot of other tools that can be used that pull out SCORM content that goes into an actual LMS. We don't believe in reinventing the wheel. We can easily repurpose existing resources. That could be workshop slides, videos, and we could make learning manuals look better on the e-learning slide than just looking like a chunk of text, but essentially use the same content. There are a lot of different ways to digitize even like workbooks or any different content that is existing. And like we said before, with the actual LMS, gather feedback from learners at an early stage, so any of the sort of chinks can be removed right at the start.
I've got the results from the slide from the quiz now. So time and expertise were the most the biggest challenges, and then resources as well. So yeah, I think everyone struggles with time, and the knowledge of how to create content. It's always a struggle as well. So that's good to know. So I'm just going to talk through a small case study of the community golf instructor course that we worked with England Golf on. So their requirement was to create a high quality, accessible learning content that brought together the values of coaching, the values and coaching principles of their program. They wanted an online delivery model that was engaging, easy to navigate, and accessible across the whole of the UK. So that included Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and England. And so that also included face-to-face and virtual classroom sessions, all built into the same system. And they wanted that hosted on a platform that could host it for England Golf, but also have different platforms for Wales Golf, Scotland, Scottish Golf, and Northern Ireland Golf. So our approach was to create content, co-create content with England Golf. So they essentially gave us an overview of what they wanted creating. A lot of the content behind that from their expertise of what they knew the community golf instructor course needed to be. And then we turned that into a digital learning content, essentially using that information that they provided. And then we hosted that and rolled it out to their learners on their behalf. So the impact of that has been nationwide impact across the four nations. It's been rolled out across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. There's been accessibility for everyone who's engaged in that, and learners can take part in that anywhere they want. The quality and consistency has been great with across the four nations, with all learners from all those four nations having the same content, but a slightly different platform behind it. And we've had great learner feedback. So participants have praised the engaging, practical, and easy to use format of that content. Just on the right is a short snippet of what it looks like. And then we've just got a quick quote from Matt Bloor at England Golf. Talking about the system and how we've been responsive to the learner needs when required. So key takeaways from this this webinar are technology enables scale, but the content creates the impact. So as previously mentioned, it's all well and good having a really good platform, but if you haven't got the content behind it, then you haven't got anything essentially.
Yeah, I think we have definitely addressed the need to tailor both the system and the content to your sport or your organization structure and the different types of learners.
Start with quick wins, courses that you know will be really accessible and engaging for people. What learners want, and then build your capacity over time. So that might be adding additional content over time.
Yeah, and finally, a successful digital learning ecosystem does all three. It connects the right LMS, it has relevant and engaging content, and it empowers people to take ownership of their learning and be engaged with it.
Finally, is there any questions that anyone's got?
Yeah, either pop it in the chat or feel free to come off mute and ask us, ask each other, or anything that you'd like from us.
Hiya. So in terms of sport structures, do you have a system that other people can host their content on, or do you build content for people to put onto their systems, or do you do both?
We do both. Yes, we have got our own LMS that has different sub-sites within it, so we can create a platform on behalf of different organisations, but we also create content that you could host on your own system as well.
Okay, and if we were interested in discussing that further, would it be a set?
It'd be both of us, yeah.
Okay.
We'll just put our emails in the chat as well. And just to further that, we with our LMS, we have the ability, and we currently offer completely branded microsites for each different organization. So we have a lot of NGBs hosting or outsourcing their complete digital learning provision to us from end to end, which is actually having a completely branded LMS, signing the users on, doing all the admin, and even creating the courses and certification at the end. Or we're also First Sport recognized center, so a lot of NGBs use us for our First Sport courses as well. So essentially, you can decide where you'd like us to plug and play. We do all ends of the spectrum.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Would anybody else have any other questions about?
Thanks, Richard. If you do want to, if you've got any questions after this and you want to reach us, then feel free to reach out. I'll put our email addresses in here now so that. But anyway, I hope it was useful, and as we tried to get to the beginning, it wasn't supposed to be a sales exercise from us of our system. It was trying to help you get the right information to pick your own systems as well, so or pick your own create your own learning. So hopefully it's done that, and if you've got any questions, though, feel free to reach out, as I said.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon and we can help you out through your e-learning journey. And thanks for your time.
Thanks both. Cheers. See ya.
See you later.